I thought I would just add a little inside baseball to the story that Rabbi Bauer told about Rena's hiring, because it was an interesting process. We didn't think that Rabbi Rena Singer was hireable. She was working at a temple in Chicago. She relatively recently signed a new contract, and the rules of the game is you're not allowed to poach rabbis. It's not allowed. And so Rabbi Bauer, Ryan, called her up to ask her for ideas, because that's okay. And she actually provided a name, and then she raised her hand. And she said, how about me? And I think Ryan almost had a heart attack. But in fairness, we had other good candidates. It was not just Rena, but it was an exciting idea. And so the question was, what about her last name? On the one hand, it was very exciting. She had grown up in a wonderful rabbinic family, and those of us who knew her knew that she was a terrific person. But we didn't want someone saying, "Oh, she just got hired because of her last name." That would not be fair to her, and it wouldn't be fair to anybody. It would just not be a good thing. So the committee, the heads of the committee, were Rabbi Bauer and Julie Weinberg, and then there were 10 of us on the committee otherwise, including the two of us. And so the first decision that Ryan and Julie made was, we're not going to tell her parents. Okay, now the parents already were not involved in the process. They were retiring. They did not want to have the responsibility. And so the decision was made not to tell them. But then Rena herself, totally appropriately, decided to tell them. At which point the singers, the senior singers, made it very clear that they truly wanted nothing to do with the process, to their great credit, because that was not the right outcome for them to somehow be involved and influence Rena being hired. And they were not. They had no involvement. So Ryan and Julie also were concerned that the name Singer was going to affect the committee. And so they didn't tell us. Now what I mean by that is we had several candidates. They had met, or talked with 7 or 8 candidates, had winnowed it down to 3, and they then made the resumes blind. No names, and not even the name of the synagogue that they now worked at. So when these resumes were brought to the committee in the meeting, we could see the backgrounds of the people, and they were all rabbis with 3 to 5 years of experience, because that's what we were trying to do. But we didn't know who they were. And so we talked about the resumes, and it pretty quickly became obvious that Rena's was the best one. So then they divulged to us who it was. And so, of course, we were excited and thrilled and nervous, because there was still the question of her last name, and were people going to think that somehow she got preferential treatment. So as Ryan referred to, we put her through 2 days of hell. To the point where Rabbi Jonathan called me up and said, "Really?" Truly, I think 33 interviews was the right number. That it included, by the way, members of the committee, it included past presidents, it included clergy, it included staff, and it included the entire committee as a group, which peppered her with questions, and which also made her make a presentation to us to give us a drosh. Well, you know the outcome. Here we are. And I'll just say, and then I'll pass it along to Joel, that if Rena's last name had been Cohen or Smith or McGillicuddy, it would not have made the slightest difference. Shabbat Shalom.
So I just had an out-of-body experience where I was preparing to welcome the parents of Rabbi Singer to our sanctuary, and it's a little bit awkward, but welcome Rabbi Singer to your sanctuary, our sanctuary. So 10 years ago, Rabbi Beth and I were standing outside on Arguello and speaking about our two daughters who were then in their 20s and both living in New York City. And we thought this would be a good idea to get these two young women together. And in fact, they did get together, and they got together over dinner. And I remember hearing from my daughter Hannah that she loved meeting Rena. And after dinner, she called me to say, you could easily be friends. And she was really quite intrigued with someone of your age pursuing the rabbinate. This was really something for her. Most importantly, she said to me, I believe I just met the future of our Reform movement. And several years later, interested in your trajectory, after Hebrew Union College, I asked both rabbis, Beth and Jonathan, so what's going on with this new rabbi, and what's her trajectory? And their answer was, is she like you? And they said, she is the best of both of us, but she is all Rena. So I can't speak of are you 34? 33. I can't speak of your 33 years of life and do it any justice, because I really don't know. We're just learning to know who you are. And as John mentioned, there was that blind resume. And what we saw in the blind resume was that, or at least what I saw, this was someone I really needed to get to know. And what stood out for me, you appear to be progressive, accessible, and a spiritual leader. And then we soon learned that you were one of the most sought after young rabbis in the Reform movement. And what we saw in that blind resume was that one, you had mastered your blog. I think it's called Modern Ritual. And most importantly, you aligned yourself, and we could see this in the resume, with visionary leaders, including Rabbi Buchtel, Rabbi Conover, who will speak this evening, and Rabbi Hoffman, who mentored you in the Tisch Fellowship program, right? So then, so tonight tonight it was, as I prepared my comments, I realized that you're really standing on the shoulders of some amazingly great people, including your parents. It's quite apparent that each one of them has helped to shape you as the rabbi that we know today. And during the Yom Kippur services, you spoke of this crazy upbringing where, I think it was your mom and dad would turn on the sprinklers, right? And the three of you would run in the backyard to simulate the parting of the Red Sea, right? Pardon? Did I get the C wrong? Okay, but in any case, and we know that you were really happy in Chicago at Beth Shalom, and it's now our fortune to have you select Emanu-El and San Francisco as your places to establish your roots. So as representatives of the board, John and I want to express our excitement for your decision to be part of our community and know you will continue to contribute to our outstanding clergy team. And we're beginning to see that your mom and dad were right. You are the best of the two of them, and you are all Rabbi Rena. Shabbat Shalom.